Captain Harold's been good enough to come out and address some of our questions. We will be having some statements from Anthony Prince, the California Homeless Union, Keith McHenry, the Food Not Bombs, Robert Norris from Huff, and some others. But we first would like to perhaps ask Captain Harold some questions about the encampment and address some of the concerns that we have all had, that Conscience in Action has had, and Huff and the Homeless Union. So who would like to ask Captain Harold a question first, and I'll try to facilitate the conversation if I can. Phil?
Okay. First of all, I want to thank Captain Harold for his discussions with me over this issue because of our, I'm not sure if you already had guidelines, but I know you revised them.
We did.
Which I obviously appreciated. I think there's one part of this, Harold, that in our phone conversation, I didn't quite understand.
Okay.
And I would appreciate if you would clarify. Salvation Army staff must receive previous client approval for each visit.
Right.
Does that mean, for example, that if I want to see Jim Stein inside, that I have to call you to get approval? And how easy is that going to be, considering the fact that it's not necessarily easy to find Jim Stein?
Okay, so this is under the privacy concern of the clients. We simply deal with this. I just want to make sure that Jim is okay with having a visitor. All right. So the deal is, if you call Jim or talk with Jim downtown or whatever, and he puts you on the list of visitors, we're cool. You come and visit Jim Stein, right? But the deal is, what we don't want is unwelcome visitors, or just going around tent to tent, yelling at people, waking them up.
Assuming that that's all that's going to be called.
Oh, not even close. No, we have many legitimate visitors every day.
Why are the visits limited to 30 minutes?
Hey,
one person at a time, all right?
People turned away every
One person at a time.
Okay, so as I understand, as I understand your answer is, the camp is willing to have visitors, but we must call in order to make sure that the resident approves our visit.
Exactly.
Okay.
And anybody could visit as long as the resident approves their visit.
I got a question. Alicia was next. Alicia, you have a question?
How come the visits are limited to 30 minutes? I find that very kind of stringent, and I might not be able to get everything I need done and spoke about in 30 minutes.
Okay, that's a very good question. And here's the deal. We worked out in those guidelines that it can go longer than 30 minutes if we know that it's going to. And this is why. We have really limited space inside. Even the table space is very limited, right? So if we have, as an example, 16 visitors, that's more table space than we have. So we can go longer than 30 minutes. The guidelines just included that there be a request that says, my business is going to take longer than 30 minutes with Jim, so I'm going to need longer. And as long as the staff knows about it ahead of time, we're okay with that. That's okay. So we can be flexible on that as long as there's a reason. What we don't want is just people hanging out all over all day long for no particular reason, right? So that's the privacy part that we're trying to control. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Robert next.
I'll follow up on both Alicia's question and Phil's question. First of all, can any member of the staff okay that, or do we have to reach you, the head chief?
You do not have to reach me. Okay. So the member of the staff here is, we have a director and a deputy director. Either one of them can.
And their names are?
Eric and Lauren.
And what are contact information for those two?
I can get it to you. I don't know it off the top of my head, but yes, I can get it to you.
And it will be available to members of the public who want to come in and see their friends?
Of course. Matter of fact, we probably end up posting it.
Okay, and then secondly, are you clarifying that if you're on a list, you can come and go at any time for a period of 30 minutes without that kind of prior approval? If you've gotten the agreement from the person inside that they want to see you?
If they're okay with you visiting at whatever hour, yeah, I don't see a reason why not.
Okay.
Yeah, we're staffed 24/7. There's staff here 24/7. There's security here 24/7. Mm-hmm. So as long as you're on the list of visitation from the client, yeah, we have no limitations on what time of the day you come visit.
Okay.
Is there any plans to
Alicia, hold on. Alicia, we have this young woman here, please.
Yes, ma'am.
You just mentioned that there are staff here 24/7.
Correct.
Why is it then that the shuttle vans only operate until 9 p.m.? Why do people not have freedom to come and go as they please? I believe it's a right for human dignity to have freedom of movement. Why can the people here not walk out of this gate? Why only you because of your badge? What makes you higher than the people in here that you have the right to come and go through this door as you please, but my friends in there do not?
Okay, so there's a couple of reasons. One, our biggest issue is safety. we all noticed, right? There is no sidewalk here. None. To even find a sidewalk, you have to cross the street. So because of that, we limited walk-ons and walk-offs. What we do not limit is bicycling. Right, so a bicycle is considered a vehicle. I'm pretty sure the state of California does. People want to bicycle on and off. That's perfectly fine. What we do not allow is people to walk on and walk off because there's no sidewalk outside the property. Okay, and I know you had a multiple part question, but
Yes. Why you?
I'm the administrator, and I therefore must sign the contract.
Please let me finish. Why you have more power than my friends in there? Did they in there elect you? Did the people who you are administering choose that you will have authority over them, or is this a coercive hierarchy enforced by the state?
Well, I didn't sign a contract with the state. I signed a contract with the county, and therefore, as the contract with the county states, that myself and the staff members of our organization are the people that control this facility. So I would say your question is a valid question, but it needs to go to the county.
Why is it safe for the staff to walk out if you're like, you just walked out, but it's not safe for anybody else?
Well, actually, the staff isn't allowed to walk out either.
But you did.
Because I drove here. I don't walk off the property. I just came out of the fence.
We're all outside right now. How come those people can't come out like we are right now?
Yeah, can you please invite some camp? Yeah,
They don't want to.
They don't want you. Is that
we actually
severe
asked them as we
reprisals?
began, and they specifically requested to not be on camera, to not speak with anyone outside here. They don't want to be part of the press conference or the protest.
But they're not allowed to walk out, right?
They're to walk off property. No.
Out. They're not allowed to walk out.
Well, actually, they can walk out to come to get their things out of their belongings out of the containers. Their
But then go
bicycles
right
are stored
back
out here.
right?
Well, if they get their bicycle, they can ride away.
Are bicycles being provided for people here?
I do not. I mean, we don't provide bicycles. That's not part of the contract. But our contract provides from the city. The city is a partner with the county. The contract provides tents, sleeping bags, the facility, the buildings, the bathrooms, the drinking water, the hand washing stations.
Did you get a shower yet?
We're working on it.
How many people are there today?
Keith, shout out.
Excuse me?
You have a question?
Yeah, how many people are staying here today?
61.
And how long will they be allowed to stay here?
Great question. As of right now, our contract for this property ends on June 30th.
I have a resident saying they were not invited out here today. A resident inside there just told me that they were not invited
Would
out
you
here.
like to come out?
Would you like to come out? Do you ensure that this person will not be subject to any sort of reprisals for coming and speaking to the media?
Yep, I sure do.
I had a
Is there
question.
any
Hold on.
Do you pinky promise?
No, we're not going to pinky promise
A
that.
little bit more adult than pinky promises.
I had a question, just for perception purposes. We're talking about the
will not
the
pinky
razor wire and
promise.
whatnot.
Yes,
Is that going to be taken down and make it more welcoming
So-
atmosphere and stuff?
I learned last week that
You coming out?
the perception
Come on out.
that the perception of the barbed wire may be seen as negative, right?
He's answering a question. Can you do that?
So the perspective of the barbed wire can be seen as negative. So now that said, the barbed wire has been on the fence for at least 2 years when the city installed the fence 2 years ago, right? So I have no problem with the barbed wire coming off. I've actually sent a letter to the city manager, Martine Bernal, last week and requested that the city come and take the barbed wire off. I have not yet received it.
But you have made the request.
I have. And not only have I believe that the city councilman, Crone, I believe, also made the same request.
The rabbi has another question, Captain?
When we talked, it was my understanding that people needed permission to leave and come back.
No, that's, no.
No, so, okay, this is an interesting issue. I didn't understand this. So Jim Stein cannot leave these premises even if he asks
No, we're having a
permission.
press conference now with the person
No,
who's actually
not-
like
not true.
important.
Okay, so explain that.
So, okay, so again, so 14 hours a day, the city provides busing to go on and off all over town. So Jim can get on any bus that comes in and out
No, I
from
don't-
7 a.m. to 9
How
p.m.
much does that cost?
But he can't just...
Nothing to me.
No, to provide that bus.
You're interrupting me.
Yeah,
You're
please,
interrupting me.
hold on, let's...
And I still, I didn't finish my question. So Jim Stein can
Why is the
leave.
water being
Okay,
provided
see,
out of
I
the
didn't
barrel?
understand that. Residents can leave and they can come back. Of course. I said, okay, that was important.
Oh, no, very
And I think that when we talked, you made the good point that you were concerned about people's employment. So, for example,
Wait a
if
minute,
someone-
I'm going to interrupt you because are you saying they can leave and walk away from here along this path?
No. So they can be.
They cannot, okay? That's clear.
They can leave by van 14 hours a day, right? The van from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. The van goes on and off every hour. Okay, so they can choose any van ride. They can be out all day. They can come back at 9 p.m. Anything like that. Medical emergencies, obviously, we have the ability and commonly call law enforcement and medical personnel, right? Hospital, ambulances, things like that. So that's as well. We even, if for people that have employment, if they have a ride away from here, we make exceptions for anyone that has employment, schooling, employment, or meetings, official meetings with whatever Department of Housing. We'll make special arrangements for all of those things. That's fine. Yes, we do that.
So, because you had made the point to me that
This lady has. Well, please finish.
okay, so it's my understanding that if Jim Stein, for example, is working at McDonald's,
Yes.
and he gets off at midnight,
Yep.
as long as he's arranged to be allowed back in at 12:30.
Yep.
Okay.
Not a problem whatsoever.
And this, please, this one of the residents has a question. You want to ask a question?
We have to come in the van, which we do, but sometimes they change the schedule. We don't even know what the schedule is. And we have
Freedom of
Well, she's concerned about reprisals, so
Yeah.
I think we should go closer to her.
Let's move to
Maybe not.
Why does it change so much, the schedule?
Okay. I'm going to make a couple of assumptions. One is I don't control the bus schedule or the driver because the driver and the vehicle are actually provided by the city. Okay, it's not provided by the Salvation Army. So that said, the first answer would be I will ask the city about the driver and why there are changes to the bus schedule. Okay? The second thing is I think maybe we need to either broaden out the bus schedule or to make it more flexible.
Bus stop right here.
Okay. Yeah. So any of those things are possible. The problem is I don't know because I'm not the provider of the bus or the driver. It's the city that does that.
There's a fellow back here who's been very patient. You have your question?
Yes, sir.
Why, and I've heard this story so many times, it's got to be something too. Why did Salvation Army tell so many people, including Mr. Theodore over there, that the people from Tent City were the only ones that were going to be here?
Okay, that's an easy question, believe it or not. Before the cleanup of the Ross encampment could happen, the courts designated that the city must provide bed space to everyone that was residing in the Ross encampment.
So let me rephrase the question. That man over there was told that only Tent City people were going to be in the Ross River City street camp by Salvation Army. That's why that man is angry. But it's the same question though, but it's in a different form. Why, it's different. Did you guys did, so you just said that you guys did in fact tell some people that only 10 city people, was that on paper?
For the first 5 days, of when the Ross encampment was closed, we were so as I said, so the court told the city that
Nobody knew what they were doing at the time. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to, I'm sorry,
So for the first 5 days, we made sure that we had open spaces here and the other 2 shelters in town for anyone that wanted to come from the Ross encampment. Anyone, okay? So for 5 days, we did that. After 5 days, and we weren't receiving any
So
more.
if Potter got on the list, he could get in now.
As long as he hasn't been banned for behavioral issues, yes. If he's ever been violent or
I don't know about all that.
But yes, he's been on the list.
Some of the folks, there's a lot of rock star personalities in one spot. And who decrees who should be banned? There should be, like, at least on that, some kind of way you can appeal. You know what I mean? A grievance system or something.
Sure, I agree. I agree.
Is there one?
Now, let me ask another question. A lot of these
No,
rules...
let him answer first.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So we have a list of guidelines that we turn in with our county contract. Say these are the rules of every shelter program that we operate here in the county.
That's right, but the in and out, like, I was in this River Street camp before, okay? The in and out, a lot of these rules are similar before, so why are we questioning you on some, and when it was probably the city that said, hey, this is the contract, this is how it's going to be. Would you do that in and of yourself without the city telling you to? Would you implement these rules?
Or would you change the rules according to concerns of the residents of this?
Right. As long as it did not...
Yes or no?
Well, it's not a yes or no question.
Okay.
As long as it did not impact safety or privacy, yes, we have the ability to change the rules. As long as it doesn't impact safety or privacy of the clients.
Anthony, please.
Could I ask you a question? Dominic.
I'd also like to be on the stack.
Anthony, who you are?
My name is Anthony Prince. I'm an attorney. I represent the California Homeless Union. I'm the general counsel. I have follow-up questions for you, if you don't mind. First thing is, you refer to people in here as your clients. Okay, so when you say they're your clients, you have a contractual relationship with them. You're providing a service to them. That's correct. Okay, have they signed a document attesting to that relationship? Do you have a copy of that document?
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
But yes, there is one. When we do intake of each person, the county, and maybe the city, but definitely the county ensures or requires that each person in any of our homeless shelter programs does HMIS, right? That is an intake process to get their information into the homeless management information system, so we know how to prioritize and provide the services that they are looking for.
Okay, so my question to you is, the rules, I haven't seen these rules and regulations, but they sign off on the rules and regulations? Are they given an opportunity to consult with an attorney regarding signing that contract?
That's a good question.
Well, do you have an answer to that question?
I currently do not know.
So as you stand here, you're not aware, as you stand here, to your knowledge, persons who sign these contracts, as you call them, are not given an opportunity to review that contract with an attorney, are they?
Actually, they are given an opportunity.
It says right out there.
They just have to sign it before they move in.
Well, let me just I want to understand what you're saying. So what I'm asking you is that, generally speaking, when someone is in a position and required to sign a contract, or there's no negotiation, right?
That's correct.
So they're in no position to bargain over the terms of the contract, are they? So they more or less have to sign the contract as a condition.
If they want to stay.
If they want to stay here, they have to sign the contract. Okay. And on the contract itself, is there an express provision that they are advised to discuss the contract with an attorney, or they have the right to discuss it with an attorney before signing it? Is that in the contract? It's not, is it?
I'm
You're
not
not sure? You have
The contract is located in that bench.
A little less argumentative and a little more,
Excuse me, Steve.
Wait, why are you tone policing?
Let me finish.
We don't need any tone policing. People are angry and they're justifiably angry.
Well, then,
I have a question. So these are some of the poorest people in the area, and they are currently being pressured into purchasing water because the only water that's being provided to them is being provided out of a barrel. Will you please, with the press, go in there and drink a cup of water out of that barrel?
I will bring the cup of water out here and drink it. Yes, it's potable water.
Can we have the press videotape you to ensure that you are getting water from that barrel?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Let's do it.
Right now, you want to hold off till we get some more
Right,
questions.
so let's finish the questions and then we'll do that.
I was talking to some of the people that were at Food Not Bombs yesterday, and a couple of people said that they couldn't stay here because they had ridden their bike directly instead of taking the shuttle. Is that accurate? You can't get
No,
in
because we actually allow bicycle travel to go on and off the property.
Oh,
yeah, so that's not completely true.
Since when has that policy been changed? Because when I was here on
she said that's not
Thursday
true.
evening,
And she that's true.
yeah, on Thursday evening I came by and was given a very different story, and I have it recorded, of being told extremely different things compared to what you were saying. So I'm going to be providing that to Robert, and we'll be comparing what your staff has been educated on. Has your staff been educated regarding all of these massive changes in policy that it seemed to have taken place over the weekend?
Okay, I don't believe they've any taken place over the weekend, but on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I've witnessed people ride on and off the property with bicycles, so I know it's possible. I've seen it happen many times.
When I was here and I tried to speak to people, I was told that the only way on and off the property was in that van. And a resident here has confirmed that's not, that the van is the only way that people come and go. So, please ask if anyone would like to ride on a bicycle and demonstrate that this is permitted.
If anyone comes on and off, or they have their bicycle, we don't provide the bicycle, but if anyone has their bicycle, they are allowed to ride on and off.
Are there any Anthony, questions?
Yeah, a couple more questions. So, let me ask you this. So,
Leave my bicycle!
first of all, I think you said a moment ago that the reason...
Leave my bicycle! You have a right to enter my bicycle! You do not need
What I want to know is, you're indicating that a person can ride in and out of here on a bicycle that they own. They don't have a bicycle, no bicycle is provided, correct?
Not by us.
Okay.
And if someone provides them a bicycle, yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Okay,
but we
that
don't have
was-
funds to provide bicycles.
Okay, so in other words, you're restricting people. You're saying that people can only come in and out here other than the bus by bicycle, and you're not providing people with bicycles in the event they don't have it, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so they're limited in their ability to have ingress and egress to whether they have a bicycle or not, correct?
Or the van.
I
yes,
said put
that's
the van
correct.
aside.
Yes.
Okay, so, all right. And the second is, your contract is between the Salvation Army and the county?
Correct.
How much you getting from the contract?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Did you sign the contract?
I did not. My headquarters signed the contract.
Okay, and who in your headquarters signed the contract?
It would be Colonel Talarud from Los Angeles.
Talarud?
Yes.
Okay.
It's got to be a guess, but it's T-O-L-L-E-R-U-D.
Okay. Now, you also said that the reason you don't let people walk in and out of here, just a person who's inside this facility can't just go where they want to go or need to go, is because of a safety issue. Okay, is there any other reason why you have regulation prohibiting people from simply walking in and out?
I do not believe so.
That is the sole reason that you're preventing people from walking in and out of here, is because there's no sidewalk, paved sidewalk.
And we were told that by the city. Because they operated it.
Who told you that?
City manager. City manager's advice.
So Mr. Bernal told you.
Or one of his employees.
Okay, so I want to understand what you're saying. So what you're saying is that you were informed by the city that, what exactly did they tell you?
That there's no walk-in egress in and off the property.
City councilman right
Yeah.
here.
Go ahead. Hey, what are you saying?
Because there's a lack of sidewalks, because it's a stone lot. The stone lot affects people in wheelchairs and things like that. It's obviously not easy to transport in a wheelchair.
Okay, so your enforcement of the rule that permits people to have ingress and egress only if they're on the bus or if they have a bicycle is because the city told you that persons were not allowed on this unpaid portion in front of the facility. Is that right? The city, in other words, you're prohibiting people from walking in and out of here if they don't have a bicycle and they're not on the bus because the city told you
So apparently the
that they would not
safety
permit
issue
people to be in this space. Is that what you're telling us?
When you say people, are you referring to clients or to anyone?
Well, why would it be different for someone in here than just an ordinary person in the city of Santa Cruz?
Do you have anyone
Just a
walking
minute,
in your house?
excuse me, just with regard to safety. This is a public hearing, correct? Okay, so I'm trying to get what the difference would be.
I have a doctor's appointment that I need to go to, but I would like to interject something if I may. I'm a resident here. News people, I'm Gary Crane. News people have dealt with me before. I am a client and a resident here, and my perspective is this. Since I've been here, I haven't had a policeman root through my property and throw my things away. I haven't received a ticket for trespassing.
Good point, that's good.
I have slept at night without being bothered by the police.
All good. Were you bothered by the police outside of here?
The people that run this place have been helpful and considerate. They make exceptions to the rules. Like I have a doctor's appointment I have to go to. They're letting me go instead of waiting until noon. They've been helpful and considerate.
Good.
I think that there's not a whole lot that they could do considering the rules that they have to abide by that they could do to better help us. Their rules that they have to abide by have put constraints on their ability to help us. But for the most part, they have done everything within their power to be helpful and considerate. And I wanted to say that.
Hold on. We have Captain Harold here who's answering our questions. If we have no more questions for him.
Well, that means, can I just say one thing real quick? That was a great thing, but that means that everybody not staying in here is subject to everything he said he's grateful for while he's here. He's grateful that people aren't rifling through his things and he's not getting trespass tickets, but there's only 60 people here. Everyone else is being subject to exactly that right now.
Right.
Do we have any more questions for Captain Harold?
Yeah, I have.
I'm really on a time limit here.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. I appreciate your answering some questions. Are you willing to answer some written questions that we would submit to you?
I am. I'm very, yes.
Okay, we'll have some written questions for you as soon as we're able to assemble those. And you're agreeing that...
I don't know if I do, but you can write it down.
Rabbi Posner has my email address. I think him and I emailed a few days ago.
Okay, and could I ask you this? Could you please provide us with a copy of the contract? Can you obtain a copy of the contract between the county and Salvation Army for this facility? You'll provide that to us?
I will first ask the county to make sure that's legal to do so.
Well, it's a public record. Wouldn't it be a public record? It's a
I'm not a
county.
lawyer.
Well, I am.
He can't answer the question.
I don't understand.
I don't know. The second they give me approval to do so, yes, I will.
Okay, and also, will you give us a copy of the document that you're requiring people to sign as a condition of being in this facility? Do you have one here? Can you get us one right now?
There should be one in that vehicle.
One more question for this young lady, and then we're going to...
Yes, so I've been informed that there is one solar shower that was provided by a resident. Why are residents providing their own showers? And I understand that you're working on getting portable showers for, at some point in the future. What is the date that there will be showers?
So currently the city set up the shower arrangement with HSC down the street, and to where they have agreed to provide showers for all of our clients. And so that is what we're using until we can get a shower unit put here. So
I'm not, because
I don't know the date yet of the arrival of the shower.
So if a group of concerned residents and faith workers and if we want to bring solar showers, would we be permitted to provide solar showers for the residents to use them?
As long as it didn't create an environmental issue, yes, very much so.
How would we avoid creating an environmental issue?
I'm not an environmentalist.
Okay,
but yes, generally speaking, that would be very,
I am willing
very
to go down right now and buy some solar showers. If I bring them, will you let people hook them up?
Well, of course. Right.
If can I ask one last question? So if someone inside here wanted to go visit a friend, and they don't have a bicycle, and they're not going to be on the bus, but the bus is not here, and you wouldn't let them simply walk down to their friend's house to take a shower, is that correct? Would they be prohibited from walking out here taking a shower at a friend's house? You wouldn't let them out for that?
During the day?
Yes.
Is there a reason they couldn't use the van?
Well, let's say they elected to walk for exercise, and they live in America, and it's their right to walk up and down the street.
Right.
Suppose they made that choice, and they simply said, well, I'm going to walk over to my friend's house, take a shower. You would not let them out, would you?
No.
Okay, I don't have any further questions.
Captain Harold. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Harold.
Can I ask another question?
Thank you, everyone.
He's right out of time.
Refer them to me. A couple people have my email address. I will gladly answer them in writing.
Thank you.
All right, let me talk to the media.
And I want to say that I have declarations from people that are inside, as much as the gentleman just said that he was grateful, and I appreciate that. I'd be very grateful too if I was no longer getting harassed by the police. But I have declarations from 2 people inside here that say that they feel like they're in jail. So we heard from one person that said he was grateful, but I've got declarations from more than one person that say this feels like jail. And although they're grateful for not having the cops harass them and not having people, tear up their stuff, it comes at a personal sacrifice of your rights and your freedom. And, we can do better than that. We can provide this without taking away your rights and your freedom. That's what I advocate for.
Wes, I noticed a member of the media in there. Have you requested permission to go inside?
I'd love to hear that part too, actually.
You might want to try to ask it.
No, I feel like
Can I go where the media is right there?
I feel like I have to dissect these answers. It's hard to understand. Can they come and go or can they not? Only with a bicycle. The visits are 30 minutes, but if I get special permission, they can be more than 30 minutes. I mean, it's like these are rules or they're not rules. I mean, we're concerned for safety, but we just saw a gentleman come out, walk out, get on his bike, and then ride it away. If we're concerned for safety, why are we only concerned for safety, but we can make special exceptions? A lot of this stuff makes absolutely no sense to me.
You need to talk to your office. He's already in and he can come and go, but there's people that I spoke to yesterday that couldn't enter because they came individually on their bikes, so they didn't have special approval. They have to come on their shuttle. There's a woman that lives here that said that they have to come on the shuttle with their bike, so that's why they're not staying here.
And there have been several people that are homeless in the city of Santa Cruz that weren't from the Ross camp that have been turned away and told that they can't stay here because they're not from the Ross camp.
Well, all right. I don't know if you got some media here, but I'll tell you right now, I think there's some real issues here about false imprisonment. What I hear so far is that people do not have the freedom to simply leave the facility, come and go at will. What I see here, what I hear here so far, is that people were made to sign a contract when they had no opportunity to actually bargain for the terms of the contract. Under the law, that's called a contract of adhesion, and it's unconscionable and void on its face in many cases. What I hear here is that the city apparently the city is dictating I don't know how this happened, but somehow or other, the city has, we'll find out, the city has instructed the Salvation Army, even though the city doesn't have a contract with them, the county does, but the city has instructed the Salvation Army that because there's no sidewalk here, that's the rationale and the sole rationale for not letting people in and out of this facility. You heard my last question to Salvation.
There's arguing going on, cussing going on, which just isn't the thing. There's no foul language. Everybody uses it here. And the good thing is that we can have our own town. We can shut it, but we can still hear them.
Oh, you're
Yeah, really nothing except you're not harassment.
Okay. So that's why you would like to get that voucher and get into a place of your own. How long has it been now since you've lived in a place you could lock the door? 17 years. So what's changed? Why is this finally gonna be the month that maybe that
I don't know. This year has been this.
What do you think of one-time placement of a sidewalk right here would be cheaper than putting hourly shuttle rides placed on the taxpayer?
So it sounds like that could be a
What do you think that it would be cheaper
Yes.
to walk and let people have
I'm Jessica. Nice to meet you. Thank you for talking.
Actually, the city made the decision with the previous camp and was very explicit about why. It wasn't about safety, it was about pleasing the anxious neighbors, but they also put in 3 levels of policing. One was a police station across the street, one was this guard here, and one was a internal guard.
If I remember correctly, Lauren, the vice director or whatever she's called here, told us last time that the reason that people weren't allowed to come and go was visibility, that they were not supposed to be visible here and that it's a low visibility, so they don't want to see homeless people coming and going. It's a special thing that they did when they got this placement due to the neighbors. They promised the neighbors and things like that there would be no coming and going, low visibility. So that's why people aren't able to come and go. It has nothing to do with safety. All these things are lies to try to make it seem like it's for another reason. This is what I can't hardly take anymore, is all the lies that are going on around here.
Who told you that?
Which part?
On the visibility.
They got in there.
Lauren Dixon, she's right in there.
We can set up a First Amendment.
I've spoken to neighbors who actually own property here. I just wanted to say, and the woman made a point of telling me, this was about a year ago or so, it was a while back, that they've had no problems, 0 problems with homeless people in this neighborhood. I was shocked when I heard that because I keep getting from the city and the management at HSC that, oh, the homeless people throw trash, they do all these things. But in fact, this neighbor was telling me that the real secret is that they have no problems here. Now that, so there is a discrepancy between, you know, what seems to be happening in the real world or out here versus what this total promotional propaganda stuff that the city and its agents, its cohorts, like Captain Harold put out. The other thing I just want to say is I stayed in the shelter. Part of the reason I was investigating,
Which shelter?
it was the Polly Lee Loft. There were beds open all the time. Open beds all the time. I
If you wouldn't mind saying your first and last name again, please.
Anthony. Last name is Prince.
Okay, and your title again, sir?
I'm General Counsel for the California Homeless Union.
So again, what brings you here?
As you know, Phil, the California Homeless Union, we have a local here, Santa Cruz Homeless Union, Bus Camp Council. Yeah, so I'm assisting, they are plaintiffs in the federal lawsuit. I'm assisting them in their pro se lawsuit. Today I'm here, I was informed that there would be a opportunity to ask questions of the person who's running this facility, the Salvation Army, captain who's running this facility.
And are you satisfied with his answers?
I have to tell you that I'm concerned about the answers he gave. We asked him if he would permit someone to walk out of this facility and go visit a friend and take a shower at his friend's house. There's no shower facility here, I understand. We asked him if he would permit someone in this facility to walk out, go down the street, visit a friend, take a shower, and he said no. My understanding is that they'll only let people in and out of this facility on a bus, which is obviously not here right now, or if they have a bicycle. So to the extent that someone does not have a bicycle and there's no bus available, these people, as far as I can tell, are being restricted in their freedom of association and their right to travel. Second of all, it's my concern that people are signing agreements here that they don't have any ability to participate in the bargaining over that agreement. Contract Law 101 is that the parties are supposed to have roughly equal bargaining power. I don't see that the people that are our sisters and brothers in this facility have equal bargaining power. I asked the captain if there's a provision in the agreement that specifically advises those who are signing it that they have an opportunity to see a lawyer and consult with a lawyer before they sign the agreement. He said there is no such provision in the contract. I asked him to provide me a copy of this agreement that's supposed to exist between the Salvation Army and the people inside the camp. He said he didn't have one. He has it on his has one on his computer email. He did agree to take additional questions. He did agree to provide some of the documents to us, so we'll be following up on that. But I have to say I'm deeply troubled. It seems to me that people are in here, to the extent they're signing something, it's what we call a contract of adhesion, meaning they can't say no. The alternative to signing the contract is they're out here on the street. And we feel that is not consistent with Martin versus Boise, that is not consistent with the city's obligation to provide alternative shelter as the law requires.
What about the two other shelters, the indoor shelters? They have space available, but no one seems to be going in there. There's 20, 25 spaces in each of the two in the city. Why this camp and not the others?
You know, Bill, that's a good question. I would say, as a journalist, that would be a good thing for you to pursue.
But I'm asking you.
Well, it seems to me we brought these issues up in court. You have some shelters here that are not appropriate for people who have PTSD. That was brought out in court. We have shelters here that are not available based on certain gender restrictions, whether male or female or families. That makes the shelter potentially unavailable. You have conditions that in the shelter we're not certain what the ingress and egress rules are. If they're anything comparable to what we have here, then we have a problem perhaps with people being compelled to give up their constitutional rights as a condition of going into the shelter. Martin versus Boise is very clear on this issue. The shelter has to be constitutionally sound. It cannot have a religious requirement. It cannot be such that I think the Ninth Circuit is broadly stating that these shelters cannot be run in such a manner as they constrain someone's constitutional rights. Clearly, if someone cannot walk out of this facility and go take a walk down the street and go visit a friend simply because they don't have a bike and there's not a bus here, it seems to me that their freedom is being constrained, and that's a problem. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Support the message that there needs to be more services, support, and access for people experiencing homelessness, but also just to observe mainly. I mean, you notice I didn't do any talking today. I didn't talk to any of the press except for you because you came and spoke to me. I'm just here to observe, show my support, and also learn about what's going on because they held this press conference so that they could educate people about the experiences people have had since the closure of the Rouse camp, the observations they've made, the benefits or the issues that have come from it. And so I wanted to get a chance to hear their perspective, hear the questions they were asking to Captain Harold, get a perspective from where they're coming from, and then also figure out what my next steps are personally on policy.
So what are your takeaways?
It's important to acknowledge that there are people that think that there are areas that I could improve. I think there's an issue of showers here. I think there's an issue of access and getting people supplies here. I think there's an issue of coming to and from, the question of the sidewalk versus shuttle systems, the costs associated with that. So all of those things. But I think it's also important that a gentleman came out here and expressed his appreciation for the space. But interesting though, the reasons for his appreciation was that he wasn't being harassed by police, he wasn't getting kicked around by police, he wasn't getting his stuff stolen. So the question then is does that justify the requirement to remove certain rights or privileges for someone just because they don't have a home or because of a certain class? Or should we be doing things in the city that make it so that people that aren't in a barbed wire fenced space can feel safe or have a full night's sleep without being harassed by police outside of the facility at the same time? So there's that concern, and sleep is a human right. So the fact that this gentleman says he's had difficulty sleeping because of the harassment from police throughout night times in general causes a bunch of concern, because a lack of sleep impacts mental ability, a lack of mental ability impacts the ability to function, lack of function makes you unproductive, and then you maintain a cycle.
Do you believe that some of these restraints that people have an issue with, like the barbed wire, the restraints on movement, that they are sort of necessary as a compromise to, keep that safety?
I do not believe that barbed wire is necessary. The other place didn't have barbed wire. And other places and facilities don't have barbed wire. So what's the purpose of the barbed wire outside of the visual representation of keep out or stay in? The issue of transportation and access. It's great that they can come and go as they please. The issue of having to wait for a shuttle is questionable, but if the city were to install a sidewalk here to alleviate that, I think someone was mentioning that the cost to install a sidewalk versus the cost of the shuttle services to bring people in and out. Plus, if we're thinking about carbon emissions and wanting to make sure that we're using as little gasoline as possible. Plus, we of course have an electric shuttle. So there's all these things that kind of come down and cascade.
Is there any sort of policy that you've already sort of, I know it's early, but like you've ever thought about? Any sort of policy that you may want to push forward because of this?
Yeah, so this is somewhat resemblant. It is not the same at all, and there are many things that differ from this and what I've been suggesting, which are transitional encampments. So if people think that this model works, this is essentially a higher security model in some ways of a transitional encampment, but it has a lot of the same aspects. An entry gate that has security check-ins, people being able to come in and out, sleeping spaces. Now the issue is the ability for them to share food, so I need to ask about the ability to share food in here, the participation of the residents, because this model is way more expensive than a transitional encampment. They're much less expensive because the people that reside in the camp are active volunteers and participants in the community. So it creates a sense of ownership, a sense of community, and people are ready to protect it, so they keep people from breaking the rules and doing more of that kind of stuff. So transitional encampments are the way to go. Opening up parks and facilities, that's a policy that I'm waiting for a project charter to come back on. It was due back in May, so that's the issue we're hopefully going to see on the May 28th agenda, is reopening bathroom facilities, which will address the community concerns around the humans need to alleviate themselves, and a whole bunch of other things I've gone for a while.
And so when this closes down, June 30th, do you have, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, if we don't have a litany of other shelter options available, then all these people are just going to be redistributed out into the community, and we're going to see a perpetual cycle of other unverified encampments, or unapproved, unsanctioned, I think is the term they use, encampments. So if we can identify locations, ideally churches or other open swaths of land, and nonprofits to be able to run transitional encampments, then we can move on it. Food Not Bombs has already said that they're willing to step in as a manager for a transitional encampment. So that means all we need to do is identify a plot of land to allow them to establish. This opens up the conversation of the old Ross Camp location. That's just an empty swath of land now that's not doing anything. But where else in Santa Cruz can we identify that? And what responsibility does the county have in establishing these places that require more urban or open areas in urban neighborhoods?
I don't know if you know, but I heard someone mention there was like 2 other shelters that had spaces that people weren't going to. Do you know why that might be?
So I'm not sure which shelters they're referring to in particular, but I do know that there's the VFW over on Laurel and the VFW on 7th Avenue and the Salvation Army on Laurel. People don't go to those. Maybe they have pets, maybe they have partners, maybe they have issues with substance use and they need to use, or they are unable not to. So there's mental health issues. There's a ton of different reasons why people don't go to shelters, and that's why we need to have not only a day center where people can go during the day to receive services, but also multi-tiered camps so that we can get people into some form of shelter and out of the woods, and then identify where they're at, and then send them on the right paths to their recovery.
All right, thank you very much.
Absolutely, great to meet you, Jamie.
You too.
All right, have a great day.